What's good, everybody? You're locked into the One Shot Podcast, powered by Music Hypebeast, the largest independent multimedia broadcast platform for creators and artists in the game right now. Tonight, we're sitting down with King Cadillac, an independent force coming out of the pop R&B universe. This is where we tap into the real story, the grind, the doubt, the sacrifices, the small wins, the big L's, and the sound that makes their name ring different. My name is April Harley, aka Gigi Max, and I am the power host tonight for the One Shot Podcast. We are super honored to be illuminating the creative genius of King Cadillac on our show. The One Shot Podcast is syndicated on iHeartRadio and Pandora, so this energy is traveling everywhere. All right, let's start the show. King Cadillac, we are so honored to have you on our platform. Welcome.
It's my pleasure and an honor as well.
And we are going to take a moment to give a shout out to Look Who TV, an amazing platform for independent artists, filmmakers, and producers. And without them, we would not be here today. Please listen out for our Look Who TV commercial and please listen in.
Music video you have.
All right, King Cadillac, you with me?
Yes.
All right. How are you doing on this fine Sunday evening?
I'm well, and yourself?
I'm doing well on the East Coast. Tell us where you're from.
Lawton, Oklahoma.
All right. And that's where you're residing right now?
Yes, I am.
All right. Paint the picture for us. What you doing right now?
Well, I'm just chilling right now. Yesterday was my birthday, so I enjoyed that. For a hobby, I do Lyft and Uber driving. So we have a military base here, Fort Sill, and it's an Army artillery base. And so I pick up a lot of civilians. I pick up a lot of military. I pick up a lot of people coming here from California, Memphis, Dallas, and out of the country, because on Thursdays and Fridays, they have graduation out there. So people coming from Puerto Rico, a lot, Venezuela, a lot of different places, Nigeria. So I get to have conversations with a lot of different people, a lot of different age categories as well.
Okay. All right. Do you mind if we talk about the origin of your story and we just hop into how you became you and when you got into the music industry and you decided and realized that it's not that I kind of do music, but that music is my life. And if you could just kind of start at the core for us and let us know kind of what you were experiencing, going through, if it was heartbreak or something with your family, what were you going through when you realized that music is your life and it's not just a hobby anymore?
Well, I guess it started from when I was just basically a child. My father was in the military and he went to Vietnam and he came back and he was stationed in Fort Hood, Texas. And so he had an accident on a maneuver and so he drowned and he had been deceased since I was 2 years old. But funny as it is, I still remember times that my father and I spent together as a child at 2 years old. And so from there, growing up and my mother raising us as a single parent, raising me as a single parent, well, we used to listen to music a lot, like Otis Redding, Sam Cooke, Wilson Pickett, Earth, Wind and Fire, Commodores, Diana Ross, the whole Motown sound.
Okay.
And so Sam Cooke, all of them. So listening to lyrics and melodies and harmonies, it was always part. And I like to sing and perform, but I went into dancing, and as I went to dancing, won a lot of contests from being a child, starting in 5th grade, all the way up to being an adult. I got into a little trouble when I became an adult, and when I did that, I started about like 7 months, some time enough to give me time to think where I was going, and I got involved with music, and I always liked entertaining and being on the stage. So after that, some years later, I went to Oklahoma City, and I started a group there. Back in, I think it was maybe 93, a group I started was 4 of us. One guy was in high school, and the other 3 of us, we were about in our 20s. We were outside singing in this little parking lot where the acoustics were good, like about maybe 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock. And this laser pulls up, and these 2 guys got out, and we say, well, what do they want,
Right.
I said, man, that dude looks like that lead singer in Color Me Bad, Brian Abrams. And sure enough, it was him. Because what we were harmonizing was Living Just Enough for the City when we were practicing. And he said, "Can I sing with you also?" He sang that song with us and harmonized with us, and it was sounded like 5-part harmony, I guess you could say, with 4 of us. And so we enjoyed that. So he had to go because I think it was just after, I think they got nominated for a Grammy that previous week, and he was down here visiting, them in Oklahoma City visiting when I lived up there from 1996. So that kind of inspired me, as the first person I ever really met in person. The first concert I ever seen before, I guess I was about in the 5th grade. I guess it was about 79 or 80. SOS Band came to town. My mother and I used to listen to that a lot too, and the performance and just the energy and everything. It was just, and so I've always wanted to entertain, but I really didn't. I wanted to write songs, but I didn't. I hadn't developed songwriting yet, and things like that. Over the years, I kind of developed listening to, like I said, all the old groups, and then the new, and the is listening to writers, performers that wrote, like R. Kelly, Ellie and Babyface, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, and the
Mhm.
projects that they wrote for people like Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis wrote for Janet, and LA and Babyface, they wrote for some everybody, and just listening to the lyrics and how the melodies that they created for the songs, but how the instrumentation was put together for the music always enlightened me. So over the years, I guess I just developed my style.
Okay, and what would you, if you had to sum up your style, what would you say that would be?
Well, I think for the most part, I think the strongest strength is on the lyrics because inspiration, just a genuine connection of I guess you could say aspects of life. And I think people relate to that more than anything. You put a good melody to it, a good beat to it, whether it's a fast or a slow song that people can relate to that's realistic. I think people relate to that more than they, of course, they relate to, magnifying material things and sexuality too. But if you, and even when you write songs like that, if you can critique it to where it's not so much vulgar. It's kind of a little more difficult than writing songs that may be a little vulgar. But I mean, it just depends on what a person is really interested in, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay, I love that. You seem to be very well versed in, a lot of the arts from your era, and I love that you went from the dancing first and then kind of segued in to, the singing and the songs. Could you tell us, when we think of the art and when you're in an industry that a lot of people say a 95% quote unquote wouldn't make it. What did you have to experience or accept in your head about failure or being slept on and any uncertainty before you really committed to this path that you're on right now?
Well, like I say, I'm from Lawton, Oklahoma, and there's maybe 100,000 people here, at the most, I would say, with the military base included. And we got our first R&B radio station, Afro American radio station, here in '96.
Mm-hmm.
So we always basically had to listen to pop music stations
Uh,
all our lives. The only time we really got to see back in the '70s and '80s anything that had to do with kind of R&B, anything if it came on American Bandstand, Soul Train, or solid gold. I don't know if you remember that. I might be
I'm
going back too
familiar.
far.
It's all you went back where you needed to go. I know it. I'm familiar.
Yeah, and the radio stations that we did have, they would have maybe an hour segment on a Sunday or a Monday for R&B or hip hop or whatever, and that was about it until the station came here that we have now, '96. And other than that, the music we mainly got, there used to be a music store called Brothers and Sisters here.
Mhm.
So that's where everybody really went to go get their music pretty much.
Okay. Okay. Let's segue kind of into money, stress, and staying in the game because it sounds like you've been in the game for a while. So we know that the independent life of an artist isn't cheap. Can you talk about a real moment where maybe the money side almost made you back away from music? Take a step back, and could you kind of share your mindset, like the hustle that you had, or your support system that kept you from quitting and giving up?
Well, yeah. Well, the first project I did is before this one I just did with this single. It's an album. I originally went by the stage name of Cadillac, was my nickname here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I released it. Well, what I did, I was working with so much dollars. I bought this keyboard, this workstation at a pawn shop here, but I didn't have a manual, but I did figure out how to record tracks and record the instrumentation, but I didn't know how to, I guess you call it augment it or something like that. I don't read music. I play by
Mm-hmm.
ear. So, but it was enough to do the song in real time to have an idea of what I was trying to create.
Yeah.
So I put about maybe 7 or 8 instruments to each song. Each song I had about 9 songs, and I created the album Love and Trust, which you can find on YouTube channels, YouTube Music, and maybe a few other channels. I did that. That connection with CD Baby
Mm-hmm.
back in 2011. Well, over the years, I kind of veered away from it because, well, like I said, when I bought the keyboard, I recorded those 9 songs, and I went to a studio in Oklahoma City, Studio 7. That's where, if some people remember, a group called High Five sang Kissing
Mm-hmm.
Game. They
Classic.
used to.
Love
I
it.
was told when I lived up there that they used to go there before they had made it, and so I was curious about that.
Mm-hmm.
So the gentleman that I called to set up that appointment in 3 hours of studio time, because like I said, I was only working with so much. And so I went up there, and when I got up there, we recorded all the 9 tracks that I had. And I looked on the wall. I tell you, the inspiration was I looked on the wall, and there was their gold album, the High Fives Gold Album plaque up there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I recorded the instrumentals to all 9 songs, and then I did all 9 songs, the lead vocals to all 9 songs, and then I did the background vocals. But after I did that, that was it. I was out of time, and
Mm-hmm.
so we never did get to edit anything, mix anything, master anything. That's why my mother, like I say, she passed away about 8 years ago, and so the day after Thanksgiving this year was her birthday, the 28th, and I wanted to do something in remembrance of her. And so I set up some studio time with a young man. It's pronounced Future, but he spells it FYU space CHUR. His recording studios, and we had never worked together before, but on his website, he has done some mixes, a lot of different mixes for that he did of a lot of mainstream artists, and also he won the Perry Broadcasting Producers Award here within Texoma, and supposed to be the #1 uh, producer here in Texoma. So he also went out and recorded in New York. I can't remember the organization, but they were some teens, a song that they did. And when he came back, they contacted him again and flew him back out there. You could check his website. They flew him back out there and presented him an award for the recording. Well, I said, well, let me go with this guy, because another studio, I won't really mention the name, but I wanted to record with, but this is where the money setback came in. I wanted to record with, but they wanted like $2,200 to do one song, and they wanted like $4,000 to do a video, and I just wasn't in the position. And so when I got with Future, his fees fit my pocket,
Okay, it
So
worked out.
we set that up and did that on my mother's birthday. And after I got it done, the next day, Saturday, I said, well, what am I going to do with it? So I started Googling things and sending it to different places. I sent it to Sirius XM, the Groove, the Heat, and all different stations, Heart and Soul, and see if I could get a response. Try to forward it to them. And I don't know if it ever went through or anything, but Radio Pushers was one of the sites that I sent it to as well. And by that Monday morning, I was contacted by Senior A&R Nebula, CBO of Radio Pushers, Jonathan P. Wright. It's basically started expanding from there. So I'm really thankful for Radio Pushers and helping me and guiding me through the next steps to success.
Yes, yes. Shout outs to Radio Pusher. Shout outs to you for making the
Yeah,
step and
shout out
stay
to Radio Pushers.
dedicated, right?
Much love, much love. Yes, it's called. But so basically, I kind of broke out of the shell. I've been there
Yeah.
for so long and never had the connections I needed, and to kind of get things. This song is the first song I've ever had mixed or mastered of my material, and so I got a fairly decent catalog that I'm ready to put together and start presenting to the world here in the near future, if the Lord is willing.
Okay. And you got mom on your side. Shout outs to mom and happy solar return in heaven to her. She's working through
Amen.
you, right? She's watching you and
Amen.
all the steps you're doing. Now, for all the things that you're doing, and congratulations to your first mastered song and walking into really taking this seriously, we all know that your mental health has to be strong, your foundation has to be strong. You got to protect your peace. What's been the hardest part on your mind as you go through this journey? You know, is it self-doubt, comparison? What is the biggest struggle for you when you go through your music career?
Well, I guess you could say, being patient, because things take time. And it took me, when I first started into this, to realize that you can't do it by yourself.
Amen.
You have to be networking with people. You have to try to network with your fans. You want to try to
Yes.
stay focused and have a positive vision forward. And you want to try and find out any tools or options that you can use and implement in what you're doing. That not only goes in with what you're doing business wise, but as well as the music. You want to try and implement and critique your vision for each individual song.
Okay. Okay. You dropping gems, and then tell me when that inner voice, right, starts creeping up on you and it's talking crazy, right? It's telling you like, nah, don't do it, right? What do you do to kind of reset and protect your peace and talk yourself out of
Well,
it, you know?
well, the thing is, I have to say, I believe in God,
Mhm.
I believe in Jesus Christ,
Mhm.
and so the devil's going to be at work, but
Always.
he has no power where he has no position. So as long as I try and stay focused, not to say that, sometimes when I get upset, I don't, fly off the handle at the mouth sometimes.
Mhm.
Or if I hit my toe against something, I just, not to say that, but you, it's kind of funny because I believe the Bible talks about being perfect.
Mhm.
People say you can't be perfect, but I think that maybe you're gonna make mistakes, but
Of course.
the perfect part comes in. I believe that you pray about it. You ask God for forgiveness. You try to push on, and I pray to God to show me things that I don't understand or things that I haven't even that I haven't even come to my mind yet, and to guide me and to stay in faith. That's my strongest struggle because I know through the Holy Spirit, God will guide me as long as I stay in faith and believe in Jesus Christ. Like He says, all things are possible. So that's the
Okay.
whole key to success for me.
Okay.
Everybody has their own beliefs, but
Yes.
that's my key to success and out of depression or anything that I'm dealing with in life.
Yes, and thank you for sharing that. Thank you. I didn't know you was going to take me to church Sunday on Monday, Ken Cadillac. I'm
Well,
happy
I
to be
just
here.
I mean, I'm not trying to say that I'm holier than thou,
Hey,
but I do
you told us
believe.
what we
I
need
do
to hear,
believe.
okay? So I
Yeah,
got
I
my
do
church
believe.
fan. Don't worry, we're good. Now,
Right.
and we keep talking about this. It's come up a couple of times, but I think maybe the third question here, like now we need to talk about a little bit again, like the sound, and we're just going to keep doing it because I think you're in a space of defining your sound right now. So I love that we are talking about it because you have the greats behind you. We all do, right? So the ancestors are speaking to you. You have kind of this old school flair. It's like a vintage soul of sorts. And
Thank you.
you know,
Thank you. Hello.
yes, you're trying to figure out through your music where you kind of fit in the audience that you're going to connect to, right? So in this question, I'm not going to ask you to describe your sound, but I want to know what someone, if they play your song right now that you have out, what do you think they're going to hear? If you could kind of break down your creative DNA. So from your tone, your melodies, any drum beats, your writing style, your ad libs, what separates you with those things? How do you kind of come up with your writing style for that?
Well, as you will see as I'm releasing singles, they will be different aspects of life to begin with as far as lyrically and the styles of the songs. You may some of these songs you may say, well, some people may say, well, he's trying to sound like this person on this song, or he's trying to sound like that
Yeah.
person on that song. But it may be similar, but it's going to be original.
Okay.
And I've done my own music and wrote my own songs since I've been in this game. But I try to put as much passion and vision as I can into it. And so as far as my style, well, I don't use a lot of auto tune,
Okay.
so or anything like that.
Mhm.
So I try to, I'm not the greatest vocalist in the world, but I try to do vocals enough to where It's not so much auto tuned to where people can hopefully have a clear connection with the vocals and with the lyrics and with the, I guess, what you call it, the vibe
Okay.
of the songs. And in my opinion, I think they make and relate to a more natural feel of the song.
Yeah.
And the instrumentations, more of a swing, more of a old school kind of. Some songs
I
gonna
love
be
that.
old school swing kind of songs, slow songs or slow jams, and that kind of music. Like when you used to look at movies like what was it? What's the name of that movie?
Hey, tell us what was going on. I'll help you.
I can't think of it right now
Okay.
because I'm gonna lose my train of thought.
Okay.
But Coolie High is what I'm trying to say.
Really high.
Coolie High. When they were at the house parties and everybody was just
Yes.
jamming to the slow jams. And, music makes you kind of feel good. To kind of, like I say, on the hobby, I do Lyft and Uber, and I picked up a group of people last night, and they were like, not racist or anything, but they're Caucasian, and they got in the car, they were
That
talking,
doesn't
and
make you
they're
racist, Cadillac.
right. Well, they one of them was a regular customer, and they asked me how I was doing on my birthday. I said, well, really, I'm excited because CD Baby had just released my music on their affiliates, and I said, so I'm kind of just excited. I said I showed them some visuals and started playing it. Well, they started dancing like they was up in the club. They're like, yeah, that's I like that.
Oh, you got
So
some new
it
fans,
made me feel
Cadillac.
good because everybody can relate to it. So either way you cross it, polka dot, yellow, green, black, or blue. So yeah, I was it kind of thrilled me.
Oh my gosh. That's great. I love that they're partying in your Uber there. And you kept the party going. Now, with you were mentioning earlier the different sounds of today. What do you think? And I don't want to say that the sounds of today, when you talk about the youth, is actually noise, but when you think about your sound and separating it from what you were speaking of earlier, those sounds, what do you think separates you? What are the things that separate you from the songs of today?
Well, from a lot of the songs today, first and foremost, I try not to use any profanity in my music. The only concerts I've ever seen before in my life was when I was 10 years old, the SOS band. Then later on in the 90s, I came back to Lawton to visit because H-Town had came here. And then in Oklahoma City, the only concert I got to see from 90 to 96 that I had time to go see was a Bud Fest they were having. And it was R. Kelly was the show what do you call it, the show line or whatever for that. And so it was Coolio, Warren G, Heavy D, and all of those groups. And so I got to get a chance to see a lot of groups that were at their heights at that time. And so that kind of inspired me to try to pay attention to my music as far as um explicitness, because when I think about careers like MC Hammer, for instance, he was so popular at one time, and his music was fun, feel good music, and it was always that way. You expect to see MC Hammer dancing and everything. And
Hmm.
you expected this show to be, like it was. But then, of course, when he got with Death Row, not to knock them or anything, but
Hmm.
when he came back out, it was pumps and a bumps, and he was,
I
and so
remember
when
that.
the people that were behind him when he had that's when we pray and stuff like that, it just,
Yeah, too legit to
you can lose
quit.
you can lose your audience.
Yeah, you can.
You can lose your
Yeah,
audience. So
yeah,
I'm trying to appeal to everybody, but I'm not going to appeal to everybody. I don't care how good you are.
yeah,
Everybody's not going to like you.
exactly.
Everybody's not going to like you. I'm trying to appeal to a specific audience and hope that they would appreciate my music.
Yeah, that's the vintage soul. That's the Crown Royale. We're doing line dancing. You have a lot to do. We're going to talk about it afterwards. When people listen to your music, okay, and they're in the late night in their room or on a long drive in their Cadillac outside with their tribe, their family, what do you want them to feel when they hear your music?
I want to feel good. I turn it on myself sometimes and listen to it.
Great.
That's where the Cadillac came from because I
Mhm.
used to own a lot of different Cadillacs.
Oh, okay.
If I own a different car now, I got a K5 and a K4.
I
But
was going to ask that now.
the Cadillac, and those Cadillacs. I remember when I first was getting ready to purchase my first Cadillac,
Hmm.
I was wanting to purchase a car, and I wasn't for sure what one I wanted. I was looking at Mercedes Benz and things like that, and different kind of cars. And I had about $9,000.
Hmm.
I was asking to my friends, and then I said, "What do you think about a Cadillac?" And he say, "All I can say is I had one. It's a magical ride." I guess that's where that lyric kind of came from.
Got you.
And then when I bought one, it was kind of like a magical ride. I mean, it was like a magnet, and it rode real smooth. So I
Yeah.
guess that's where that lyric comes from, the beginning of the song.
I love that. I see a magic carpet kind of like shaped like this Cadillac. So I see that. I'm going to help you with some visuals. We'll talk about
Right,
that. I
right,
love that.
right.
Now, and then could you tell me, I don't know if it's the song that you have out now, the one song that you would say kind of portrays that feeling for you? Is it the song that you have out now, or is there another song?
Yeah, the one for me.
Okay,
Yes, the one I have right now.
that's the Magic
Yes.
Carpet Cadillac Ride. When we hear that song, we're going to be
Right, right,
okay.
right,
Okay.
right.
So let's
That's where that concept came from.
Okay, okay. Now pick one song from your catalog now that's the closest to your real life. You're a family man. We've tried to hook our calls up, and you've been with the wife. I know you have children, and all the things that you're doing in life now. What is the song from your catalog that she would say fits your life the most?
Well, I guess there's a few songs that would fit different aspects that were very important in my life,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the song, and we're going to do remixes to pretty much all of those songs on the previous album to get it mixed and mastered right. And because the name of the new album is going to be is rather, and the one for me is the first release off of it. The new album will be Love and Trust extended remix.
Mm,
Now the one for me isn't on Love and Trust original album, so there'll be not only Love and Trust, but there'll be a few other new songs, and I believe the one I'm going to work on next, the slow song that wasn't on Love and Trust, to add to the extension of the revised version. And so that's pretty much it for right now.
okay.
And
Could you
yeah.
could you share with us what you were going through as you were writing these songs that you're saying are so closely related to your life? What were you
Well,
experiencing?
yeah, just love and
Okay.
pain and
Hmm.
commitment, family relations, everything. I think the one that probably kind of kind of uh, kind of kind of the song that I think that we're gonna probably be the third release to kind of connect a connection song for just not as my life, but just people in general. It's called the song "Love and Trust." Can you tell me if you know what love is? Can you tell me if you know what trust is? Everybody should appreciate the gift of what love and trust is. Some people don't, that's nothing to them.
Yes, they
They
say
don't
it's
want
so
to. They don't
easy.
want to hear that. I don't want to hear that.
That's true too. Yeah.
But some people can relate to that.
Right. Right.
And then the rest of the lyrics and the verses, kind of puts things in more detail. It kind of when I wrote that song, it was kind of like it kind of put me in the mind after I wrote it and the thought of the concept of it it's kind of something like Emotions of H Town, that
Ooh,
song they had out.
yes, that's
Kind
okay.
emotions make you cry
Make you cry
sometimes, emotions make you
sometimes.
sad sometimes. Yeah,
Yes, very
most of
simple.
all, it makes you fall in love.
Yes.
I related to that. And I think a lot of other people did too. Then I have another song on the previous album called Every Now and Then. Some of the lyrics, every now and then you still cross my mind. I hope what you're searching for you will find. Looking in the past, sometimes it hurts, sometimes every now and then you still cross my mind. You know, just different aspects of life, relationships, and things like that. Please don't cry. And Please Don't Cry is another song. I have to leave now, my love, but I promise I never stop thinking of the happiness that I brought into your life. You brought into my life. Please don't cry.
Mm,
Lyrics like that. Um, and then at close around the end, say, "I'll return. Please don't cry." If you hear the song, you kind of can really be able to relate to what I'm saying. And
okay.
like I say, you can find it on YouTube Music and
Mhm.
different sites. But it was real time. There's nothing digitally. It's nothing mastered. It's just
It's
basically
organic.
if you were to go in and buy a keyboard and put some melodies to it and then go record yourself. That's basically what. But people related to it. I see I put it on CD Baby, and when I look on the account and it shows the different regions around the world where people did have streamed it, and but I never did promote it. No, I never did. I never did promote it because I know it wasn't my best quality of work. So finally, I was able to do that on my mother's birthday and have it released on my birthday yesterday. The one for me. Hello?
I'm still here. Don't worry. I didn't leave you. I was saying that there's such an intense connection between yourself and your mother and the birthdays and the catalog of music that you're putting out right now. And
Right.
bridging the gaps between the generations. That's what I was saying about the vintage soul in you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier Cooley High, and we were talking about Babyface, who has amazing songs and soundtracks, right? Like the Waiting to Exhale, where he's able to tell a story through all of these musicians and amazing artists and performers. When you think of your life as a movie, and then you think of your catalog of music, the songs that you have out, the songs that are up and coming and that are about to drop, when you think about your catalog as a movie, what would the storyline be from your first release to your latest drop? So if you could describe that.
Well, my first really single release is the one for me.
Okay.
I guess as far as kind of to put the rest of the songs in the middle. From the one for me, there's another song called Your Smiling Face on the album. And that song was in the frame of my mother, thinking of my mother with that song. Your smiling face has a loving touch in so many ways. You have shown me love in my life. You've given me so much with your tender, loving, smiling touch. There were times where I would be so down and out my life, but you would come along and help teach me how to fly right. No matter for the conversations we had, you always shine so much light. Whatever it was, you could straighten me out and help me open my eyes. I was really caught up in my emotions. Me and my mother, we were suffering, going through, um, you know, um, housing conditions and things like that, and places to live and things. And so once we got situated, I just began writing, and I wrote that song, "Your Smiling Face," and it's on Love and Trust, and we will be redoing that as well.
Okay.
I hope, well, I pray to God we do. The Lord is
Yes.
willing.
Okay.
I can't say what the future's going to hold, but that's what I
We're going to
vision.
manifest it. Yes. But God willing,
Right.
I'm there with you. And
In
then,
Jesus' name, amen.
okay. Amen. Again, Soulful Sunday on a Monday. I love it. Now, where are you right now in that movie? Are there, if we were to be watching, right, your movie, your film, would there be any plot twists or any heartbreak, anything coming up that you would want the audience or your fans to know? Not
Well,
know, but
one thing that the God has blessed us with, my wife had a life-threatening illness about 6 or 7 months ago. And she was EMS from here in Lawton to Oklahoma City, and she was there 3 weeks. And then she came back, and she's doing a lot better now. So that really kind of, after going through that and a lot of prayers, and God blessed me to still have her in my life. And I was sitting here just meditating one day on God, and He kind of opened my eyes to the fact that whatever you are and whoever you are, whatever talents you have, whatever ability or skills that you have that God is blessing you with every day, so much as your sound state of mind, your strength and health, use it to the best of your ability to try to prosper, try to be a better person every day. Some days you're not going to feel 100%, but try to stay focused and try and stay in faith and do better. And if you do and believe, it gets better. Because I don't mean we going to church on y'all
let's
tonight,
take it
but
there. We already went, so we're
God
here.
says with anything,
Yeah.
with Him all things are possible. And if you believe, faith greater mustard seed, you can tell that mountain to move, and it'll move.
You
And
better.
so, I can't quote the scriptures, but people that know
You can
where I'm
feel
coming
them now.
from know what I'm talking about.
Exactly. You feel the
And
scripture.
so, right, right, right. So that's kind of led me back to music. I try to God give me the ability to create a song and try to put songs together. And I tell you, when we talked about LA and Babyface, the
Mm-hmm.
closest thing to that, before that, along with that, I'll say, is Stevie Wonder. I'm really a big fan of Stevie Wonder, not
Mm-hmm.
just as a vocalist or just a musician, but as a writer and as an artist. his catalog is so songs that he has. Me and my mother used to listen to him a lot too. Reggae Woman, like that. I could go on Ribbon in the Sky or what, I could just go on and on about Stevie Wonder's
Classic.
catalog. And he's still here. He's a living legend and he's still here. I'd
Still
love to meet
here.
him one day and even collaborated with him with the greatest dream. Then you got other people that are still here. You got Gladys Knight, you got Shaka
Hmm.
Khan, you got, it's just amazing the people that are out there. And then even today's artists. Mary J. Blige, she's really survived the game.
Yes, you
She's
are
really
so
survived
right
the
with
game.
that word survive
But
too.
yeah, and I'm saying I'm right now kind of speaking in the R&B sector.
Right.
And then you got people, but you still got artists like her and Jasmine Sullivan. You know,
Yes.
that collaboration that her and Jasmine Sullivan did,
Mm,
that was so, I don't know what you
powerful.
call that.
Yeah, I don't even. Powerful
I
is
don't know what you call
the
that.
word. Yeah,
That was so melodic, so I could go on and on and on
we
about
need
that.
another
But
one of
you
those.
know, yeah, we need another one of those. And then you got artists that, they could just come back at any time if they really wanted to. I always tease and say this. I say, I wonder what it would be like. I just wonder what it would sound like. Just one song. If much love to Left Eye and TLC, rest in heaven.
Yes.
But what would it be like if the L was replaced with L Boogie, Lauryn Hill? What would that
Mm,
sound like? Would it be the same? Would it be the
interesting.
same mature? Would it mature the sound like adding Johnny Gill to New Edition? What would it be like? So
Interesting. I
that
like where you're going with this.
yeah.
I do.
So
I don't know what everyone's doing, the Gladys Knights and the Stevie Wonder, but since you've had this dream of collaborating, you might want to hit some people up. I have a lot of artists that I work with that, take that step and they take that chance, and it's like, why not? Why not try to with the greats, try to collaborate.
right,
I would say reach out.
right,
2026,
right.
something you might be doing, even if it's just one, you don't know what they're doing. And you got to imagine a lot of people might not be hitting them up right now. So what
Well,
you're doing, with your generational soul vibe, it might be something to think about.
well, even with this song, there's an artist, and we spoke about that the instrumental part in the one for me.
Hmm.
I'm thinking about doing a remix to it later on after we drop a few more singles.
Okay.
Maybe do it to a video or something. He goes by the initials TBS here in Lawton, and he's originally from Memphis. And thinking about him, or either him or a major artist would be interested in doing a rap segment in that space.
Right.
Or a collaboration rap with him or something like that. In the future, I'm sure he can put it all together. He's an amazing producer. And whoever we could collaborate with, I'm willing to collaborate with just about anybody that I'm fond of. And the only thing about collaborations is I have my own brand that I'm working on right now.
Mhm.
So when I collaborate, I really don't want any kind of vulgar language,
I don't think Gladys Knight's
in
going
my
to do
music.
that to you,
No,
Cadillac.
I'm not Gladys Knight.
Okay.
No,
All
if
right.
I did something with Gladys, it'd just be that it would just
I feel
anybody
Stevie's going
like
to
that,
respect
her or
the
Shaka
song.
Khan.
Okay.
Yeah, her Shaka Khan or somebody like that, that would just be classical. It'd just be it would just be vintage anyway. I wouldn't have to
Yes,
worry about
vintage.
that. But when you go to the rap community and you're adding little raps in there, it's but at the same time, not that's not to knock rap. I love rap.
Same. It's part of our culture.
I listen to it too and jam to it.
Yeah.
You know, let me say this for instance. Let's take Bruno Mars for instance.
Hmm.
Okay, now when he did that collaboration with Cardi B on what was the name of that song? Finesse.
It is escaping me, but don't worry because we got to keep going because I have three more questions. But I know everyone who knows this, we know the song, even if we don't know the title.
Right. That was more of like a swing sound, like but this song I have is kind of like it was kind of like on that level, and I like how they did the kind of like what was the Keenan Ivory Wayne's show
A Living
Living
Color.
Color. They kind of did that concept on the on the choreography.
Yeah, yeah,
I really like that. I really like that. There was no profanity, and people, they work with each other and collaborate, and I think they have respect for each other's craft. So,
definitely.
I'll be willing to work with anybody, to be honest.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to have to do another 2026 interview to see where you've come on your journey with that. And by the way, you were right. There was the finesse, and it was that was the remix. The original was called "Please Me" by Bruno Mars and Cardi B.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
So let's jump into something because you speak a lot of the 70s, 80s, 90s vibes. And even before with the swing music, you're talking a lot about different eras of music. In today's era, right? When we're talking about your identity as a musician versus algorithms, streams, these numbers that are trying to define us, right? In a world where numbers and algorithms try to tell you your worth, who are you without the streams, the views, the followers? How would you say you remind yourself that you're bigger than whatever analytics and metrics are trying to tell you that you are?
Well, because I know what God puts on my heart, and that's bigger than anything.
Okay.
That's bigger than anything. God doesn't provide due to statistics.
Mm,
You see what I'm
better
saying?
preach.
He doesn't provide due to statistics. He provides due to our needs and
Mm,
our, desires, our, what we're destined to do. We plan. You think about it. When you're trying to plan something, do something positive, sometimes it doesn't work out, and it's not always because you didn't give it your best. Sometimes it wasn't meant to be at the time. But when things do work out, do you kind of notice how when you have faith and you believe in God and you're praying about it, when it works out, it kind of works out better than what you planned.
okay. Yes, exactly. You're absolutely right.
You know, so He foresees what we don't. So
Right.
that's why it's important to stay in faith with Him. With all what you do, and He provides the rest.
I love that answer. I think it's so great that you're grounded in that because we can easily get distracted, and it gets to the
Right.
point where, again, which is a great example that God and the universe and whatever people's faith is, right? So whatever that divine alignment is going to happen. And you have people now purchasing their followers, their views, they're paying so much for it so that it can look like that. But after all of that, they still have to sit with themselves. They still have to
Right.
figure that out after the bots, after the fakeness. They still have to sit down with that. And I think it's a really good thing to think about. And I love how grounded you are in your answer to that question.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about, and we haven't talked about it a lot, and you feel as vulnerable or not as you want. When you think about taking your pain and turning it into a playbook, give us, if you could, share with us one painful experience that you suffered in life or within your music career that kind of low key became the playbook for you. Tell us what happened.
Well, let's see where I'll start. I guess when like I said, this is my second marriage. And my first marriage, when I went to Oklahoma City, in 1990 and returned back to Lawton in 96. Me and my previous wife had separated. And at the same time, I still, we both made mistakes, but I was willing to try to hold on to my vows. And we stayed separated,
Mm-hmm.
but and we spent time together. But she didn't want to get back together, so I
Mm-hmm.
that's when I called it quits.
Yeah.
I don't want to just be a fling,
Right.
and we're married. I don't want that, and so I waited for 11 years before she divorced me,
Mm-hmm.
and she married her first baby daddy, and
Oh,
that didn't
okay.
work out. So, it wasn't meant, in other words, it wasn't meant to be.
Exactly.
It wasn't meant to be. And so I had to understand that. And a lot of that writing came in. I guess you could kind of say that song, every now and then, you still cross my mind. Not just her, not just picking on her, but other relationships that I've been in, every now and then you still cross my mind. I hope what you're searching for, you will find. Looking in the past, it hurts sometimes. Every now and then you still cross my mind. So, there's different aspects of my life that those songs that are on that album. It's 9 songs on that album that I was going through street life, living in the street life in this world out here in these doggone streets. Everything is not what it may seem.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I was going through that,
Yeah.
and so it's just, I guess, It's kind of that album really kind of signifies what I was going through over the previous years. Then you get to where we are today, it's all starting to come out, and my music is starting to be exposed now. And so I thank God, grace God for that. And like I say again, I really give gratitude to Radio Pushers and the whole movement. And I look forward to continuing our journey.
Right. I know that's right. Could you share with us, how that experience, with your wife, your ex-wife, I should say, shaped you as a person and as an artist?
Well, yeah, because during that time, if she came down here and showed up,
Mhm.
whoever was at the house with me, they had to go. I was that. I was just, I don't care what, they had to go. That's my wife.
Oh,
I
I
still
see. Yeah.
respected her in that manner. They had to go, and it was just that way. And so, but I had to come to realize that it wasn't going to ever be. It wasn't. So therefore, and she wasn't. So I felt that it wasn't true love. Yeah, she loved me. Baby mama, my youngest daughter's mom, my youngest child's mother, my youngest daughter's mother, and I love all my baby mamas. That song "Papa Was Rolling Stone." Yeah, that was me.
I do. I know that song well.
That
Okay.
was me.
Okay, now I
So
know. We know each other well now.
but I love my babies, my BMs and everything, and
Mhm.
and I wish them as much success, and my children as well, and but it molded me in a way. It molded me in a lot of different ways because when that was going on, I just got to where relationships didn't really matter. It was just like most people magnify, get the girls, get as many girls as you can get.
Mhm.
But I got burnt out on all
I'm
that. I mean,
sure.
there's only so much sex you're gonna have. It's just like trying to fill a hole. And
Void.
when you come along with that,
Yeah.
I remember I was going through it when I first got back. Let me tell you, when TLC came out with no scrubs,
Oh, that
I felt
is
so bad because I was always riding in the passenger side of my friend's
right.
ride, and I was staying with my mama, and trying to get back on my feet. So, I was like all time low for me, and I had all this stuff I wanted to do, but over the years, it all came to pass. So, it's kind of funny now.
Yeah, it just made you try a little harder. You did do a little self-reflection.
It did. It did.
A little Aaliyah, dust yourself off, try again. We're not saying we don't want it. We don't want you. It's just like, just give a little extra. That's all.
Right, right, right. Now I got tired of trying to be in my pockets and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I teach his own. I mean, not to knock the lady that's trying to get them pockets, but and a lot of those guys, some of those guys, their money's so long,
It's so
they
long. They
the
can't
pockets
wait to
ain't
give
nothing
it
to them.
out.
They let them get in it, and it's just a. But I wanted something different than that.
Right.
Let's put it this way, I outgrew that.
Morals and
So
principles, if you will.
yeah, right, right.
This is my final question, King Cadillac, and I've had such a great time with you tonight. I really don't want it to end, but I have to ask this question because this is the One Shot Podcast. This is the One
Okay.
Shot Podcast moment, actually. So I have to ask you this. If this was your one shot to talk directly to the world about who you are as an artist, what would be the core message you would want people to remember after the music stops?
Well, I'd want them to know that I did my best to create music that would last for generation to generation, generational love music that connection, not just but within society,
Mm,
promoting peace and love and togetherness and unity and things that are missing nowadays, for the most part. I try to magnify that, try to and hopefully that they remember me as an artist for trying to create that kind of harmony.
beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you for that. And thank you for joining us tonight. And
Thank
tell
you.
me a little bit about how your One Shot podcast experience has been.
I think it was just great. I think it was just great. We were able to touch upon things that, flow through my mind constantly.
Mm,
Maybe we can't get to everything, but, because times change and society changes and
absolutely.
our emotions and our lifestyles change and things that are going on in our lives. from here to maybe the next time we talk, no telling what may be going on in the world or what may
True
happen in our
that.
lives individually.
Yeah.
So, it's just yet to be seen.
Yes, I appreciate that. I challenge you. I want to hear next summer in 2026. I want to hear a King Cadillac line dance song. I'm looking forward to it. I'm manifesting it. That's something I'm asking for.
Line dance song. Okay, well, we'll
hmm
see what we get.
We'll
We'll
see.
see. Right now, I'm trying to. I'll see what I can come up with, what I can
No
work in.
pressure. No pressure, King Cadillac.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
okay, thank you for being with us. If you could just share with everyone where they could follow you and spell out your social media and let us know where we can find you.
Well, they can find me on I am King Cadillac, Instagram, also TikTok, and you can find me on Spotify, Open Wave, iTunes, that I'm aware of. Is like I said, just got released yesterday.
Yes.
I was like I said, I had a customer yesterday, and he was like, I played it for him before all this stuff finally released, before just to get a feel to see what people would think. He's a construction worker, and he had his friend with him. He's like, when I seen him yesterday,
Mhm.
he's like, man, play that song that you played me. I like that song. I'm
Oh,
like,
that's so
talking about
sweet.
my song? He's like, yeah. He said, play it. I played it for him. He said, man, where I can find that song? I said, well, we just put it on Open Wave the other day, and they're supposed to release it on CD Baby today. What I was telling him yesterday, and he says, is this it right here? I said, where did you get that from? He said, it's already on Apple Music.
See? Information.
Yeah.
Okay, well, look.
So
Oh, go ahead.
it's on most platforms, I would suppose.
Okay, awesome. All platforms. We know where to find you. We'll continue to follow your music journey. Thank you again for joining us on the One Shot Podcast.
Thank you, April. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, so big love to King Cadillac for tapping in with us on the One Shot Podcast powered by Music Hypebeast. If you're rocking with this energy, make sure you follow us on Instagram at The Music Hypebeast. That's TheMusicHypebeast. Lock in and subscribe to Music Hypebeast on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook so you don't miss any episodes, live streams, or exclusive drops from independent creators all over the world. I am one of the power hosts of the One Shot Podcast. My name is April Harley, aka GG Max. And just letting you know that Music Hypebeast is an interactive division of Radio Pushers, powered by our parent company, Servo Music Group Incorporated. This is One Shot Podcast, where independent artists get their one shot to tell the real story behind the music. Thank you, and have a good night. All right, King Cadillac, that was